A very good evening and thanks for clicking on to the Sunday edition of Vogan's European Outlook. I'm back aboard the ferry Hull to Rotterdam. I'm a glutton for punishment. I'm going back with another load of venison for a couple of customers in the Netherlands. So hopefully this time around I'm not going to be stuck in the port for 24 hours like I was last week. So here's hoping. Calm night out there as well. Which is good, of course, so I'm not going to have a particularly rough crossing. There does appear to be a bit of a kind of southerly wind kind of develops, through the course of tonight and into tomorrow. But it looks as if it's going to be a fairly quiet one as I cross the North Sea once again. But certainly over the next few days, we're going to see the temperatures rise significantly, all thanks to an area of low pressure approaching from the southwest frontal system, allowing winds to come all the way south of the Azores into the UK. We've seen this before in recent times, and it's just another shot of very unusual warmth for the time of the year. We could see temperatures with some sunshine. Wouldn't be surprised if we've seen a 22 somewhere in the southeast of England on Tuesday afternoon. But as we skip through the GFS precipitation pressure pattern, you can see that area of low pressure lifting northwards with some heavy pulses of rain associated with that as well. Very warm, very juicy air, lots of moisture associated with this air mass as it comes north. And once we see the first initial wave coming through, we're going to see reinforcing shots of heavy rainfall through the course of Monday into Tuesday, into Wednesday as well. And like I say, associated with this, some very, very warm air indeed. And of course, with warmer air, atmosphere tends to contain more moisture, so it's going to be a very messy picture indeed. Then we start to lose the southwesterly winds. The isobars open up somewhat, but we start to kind of draw in something a little bit less warm from the west through the middle and second half of the work week. So you can see here the airflow starts to change, more moisture coming in, more heavy rainfall, localized flooding concerns with this type of situation here as we go through the second half of the week. Rain totals will mount up quite significantly. Then as we push towards the second half of the work week, you start to see we start to draw in air from the north, so we'll reverse the winds, start to bring in something a little bit more seasonal for the time of the year to the UK. A brief ridge of high pressure moves in, then we'll start to see the next area of low pressure coming in from the west, from the Atlantic. So certainly a very, very unsettled theme as we go forward here. Looking at the 850 millibar temperature anomalies, and you can see here the warm air coming in, lifted northwards with that area of low pressure. Then as that system bodily moves across the UK with its wind and its rain, we'll start to pull in fresher air towards the second half of the week. As you can see here off the 850 temperature chart, we start to pull in colder air for the time of the year. And then more systems come in from the west here. So you get the overall idea. We're warm next few days, then we'll start to bring in something less warm, cooler shot of cold air, cooler moves in from the north during the second half of the week, and it looks as if that's going to be the case here. Looking at some of the indices here, I'm going to kind of chop and change slightly here, but a wee bit interesting here. I want to have a very, very brief look at the situation with regards to what some of the indices are looking at here. IOD, something that we'll look at in terms of winter, is negative at this moment in time. Arctic sea ice is well but above the minimum here of 2012, which isn't represented here unfortunately, but Arctic sea ice isn't exactly 1970s levels by any stretch, but certainly it is much healthier in terms of extent compared to recent years, which I know have been very, very sparse in terms of its coverage here. So that is a positive sign. We are seeing, of course, snow cover starting to grow over the Siberian landmass here. So that in a sense is good news as well. QBO is firmly easterly, which looks as if it's going to maintain that easterly theme. And this all coincides very nicely with the idea of increased blocking and the increased chance of something colder coming in during the month of November overall. So it's looking good in terms of that still. This is the global temperature anomaly for the month of October so far here. You can see here plenty of warmth. Now this is a lot of it's associated with high latitude blocking that we've seen so far. Scandinavia and across the top of Asia, you can see here warmer than normal. But notice here a very interesting colder than normal extending from France, even the southeastern UK, through Europe, especially southern parts like the Balkans, for example, Moldova, Romania, Bulgaria, has been pretty cold so far this month. Then if you get east of the Caspian, very cold compared to the normal here, which is quite interesting to see. And that cold than normal extends all the way to the Koreas here. What's interesting about that in particular, folks, is the fact that, wouldn't this be a terrific temperature anomaly chart come November, December, and January? This would certainly be reflective of a negative Arctic oscillation, negative North Atlantic oscillation. But you notice here that Canada is well above normal in terms of temperature here. Greenland well below normal across the south, but notice here warmer than normal across the top, across the far north of Greenland, and extending over Canada as well. Again, associated with high latitude blocking here. So it's interesting to see this temperature anomaly chart actually, because to me that is the possible anomaly profile that you would expect with a high latitude blocking type winter. Finally, looking at the CFSV2, I know I'm bouncing back and forward a wee bit, but I'm kind of trying to get the video done reasonably quickly this evening. But week one, big strong blocking over almost parked directly over the Baffin Straits here, if you notice here. Week two, we've got, of course, the trough over Scandinavia. We've been starting to see more snow developing across parts of Scandinavia, which is a good sign, of course. It's starting to lay that snowpack down. This is week two here. You can start to see the possibility, high latitude blocking, feeds of cold coming down from the north. But of course, we've got a jet undercutting that blocking there. That would potentially allow for colder intrusions from the north, but still active weather moving in from the west here, which would be an interesting type scenario here. Week three, and of course this is getting into the month of November here, and that is a very interesting look. Axis of troughiness extending from the Arctic down over the UK, blocking, extending from the Western Atlantic up into the Arctic region. This certainly, folks, would be a very interesting upper level pattern as we move into the month of November. We're going to continue to keep watching this as we go forward here. So that's it for today. Hope you have a great rest of your evening. Please, of course, like the video and subscribe to the channel. Keep up to date with the very latest weather information, both locally as well as globally. Have a great one. Bye-bye.